Hey, so this is another episode of Arabia at You. I am Arabia, and today I have Miss Kelly B from A Queen's Heart Ministry, and we're going to catch up with her and just ask her a couple questions. Miss Kelly, how are you?
I'm doing so well.
Good. So tell us a little bit about your ministry and how you got started.
Okay, so it's called A Queen's Heart Ministry, and it was based out of the book of Esther, basically to help women to be nicer and kinder to each other. The best way to be kind to each other is to overcome some of our brokenness and the things that we may have said about each other. So what we do with A Queen's Heart is basically to help women overcome any trials or any tribulations that they may be going through in order to step into their God-given purpose.
Okay, so do you feel as though there's any celebrity that kind of got you started, or you might have felt like, oh, they're doing this, so I want to do this and I want to do it better?
Okay, I wouldn't. She doesn't really consider herself a celebrity, but I do, and it is Sarah Jakes Roberts, TD Jakes' daughter.
Oh my God, I love her.
Love her. Oh my gosh, she is so amazing. But what I love about her is that she's not afraid of her story. She's not afraid of her scars, and I aspire to be like that, a person who's not afraid of my scars, and to realize that it's my story. Because a lot of times when you say certain things, especially when it comes to family issues, your family will say things like, well, that didn't happen. Or they say it as like, that wasn't my view, that wasn't my perspective. So what you want is to actually be able to get to a point where you're free enough to tell your story your way.
So can you tell us a little bit about the Burn Book? Like, what made you think of that specific title?
Okay, so the Burn Book actually came from the movie Mean Girls.
I figured that.
Yes, it came from the movie Mean Girls. And in the movie, basically everything was always negative that they put into this book. And it just made me think of all of the negative things that people have ever said about me. Anything negative that people have ever said about my friends, anything that I've ever said about my friends. So what I noticed is when you say something or use certain words towards people, it ends up maybe harming them in a way, but you don't realize it because you think that it's just words. So what the Burn Book did was it took those words that may have hurt the most, whether it had been from our loved one or just someone that we knew or a friend or anything like that. It just took those words and we burned them up, and they're never going to hurt us or harm us again, and we had to replace it with something positive.
So I'm going to ask you a little bit of like my questions that I typically ask on my show. So I'm not sure if you watch my show, but I do ask a lot of relationship questions, scenarios, different things. So of course I have to ask you my famous question, and that is, what's the craziest thing you've ever done for love? Now, this question you don't have to say I'm gonna do a twist. So you don't have to say the craziest thing you've ever done. You can probably say something crazy that someone else did for you. And again, crazy doesn't necessarily have to be slashing tires or anything like that. It can definitely be just something that you've never done in any other relationship before.
Mm-hmm. The craziest thing that I have ever seen done was ignoring red flags. This is the craziest thing that I've ever done. Just, seeing things wrong, or, someone says something that you really don't like, or they do things that you don't like, or for me, of course, from A Queen's Heart Ministry, I am a Christian. So what I would sometimes do is put myself into relationships where we don't have like faith. So we end up not even
like faith.
So that is, yes. So like faith would be someone who believes the way that you believe. That is, or someone who, not just someone who goes to church, because I've met a lot of people who go to church who are not saved or who don't believe. So someone who is very prayerful, someone who has a relationship with God. I have been in relationships where I tried to compromise myself in order to be better for that person, what I thought was my idea of better. And that probably was the craziest thing that I've ever done. And that actually drove me to A Queen's Heart, because I knew that I needed to let go of the broken piece of me that was, I have to be in the relationship because everyone else is. So now that I'm free from that, I'm actually walking in my purpose, and my ministry is flourishing. I'm just seeing things happen and things changing and me changing. So that is what's going on with that. That's the craziest thing I've ever done for a relationship.
Okay, so this is the last question that I have for you. So say, for instance, hypothetically, because you have your brand page, and I'm sure you have a personal page. So on your brand page, say there's this man and he's married, and he's following you, and he's seeing everything that you're doing, and then he's like from there from start to finish, he's commenting on your things, but he's saying everything is positive.
Yes.
Everything's like, you know, we see what you're doing, good job. And his wife DMs you, and he asks you to block her husband because he talks about you all the time. You have no clue who this man is. What is your response?
My response would be, first of all, if you come to me like a woman, I'm going to beat you like a drum. Because don't come to me as a woman with anything. Because your issue is with your husband. You need to figure that out with him. Don't say anything to me at all. You made a commitment to him, not to me. So I wouldn't actually, that would be the most that I would give her, is you should have a conversation with him. You're not in control of his phone. So whatever it is that, okay, so this is the way that I see it. And this is something that, in my last relationship, we had to have this conversation. It does not matter what people say about you. It matters what you respond to. So I'm not going to hold on to, well, there was another woman and she's this and she's that, and I need to say something to her. I didn't make a commitment to her. I made a commitment to him. So in that case, I would probably let the wife know, like, listen, don't say anything to me. You need to talk to your husband. And of course, I'm going to further block him because, I mean, the ministry is more so for women than men. So that would be it. I would probably tell her to follow it, you know, because it's like, this will help you to let go of some
it's always about that plug.
Yeah.
So I need you to go ahead and plug your channels and your network so that way everyone can know where to find you.
Okay, so on Instagram, it is at A Queen's Heart with an S Ministry. And on Facebook, we have a Facebook like page, and it's just A Queen's Heart Ministry. My personal pages are Kelly Brown on Facebook. That's Kellee Brown. And on my Instagram, it is So Kelly.
Good. So thank you. And that is a wrap for another episode of Arabia Asks You.